Good morning, everybody. Hi. I hope all of you are doing well. It's right in the morning on a Saturday. Just give me 1 second. I need to. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Good morning, everybody. Once again, thank you for joining me at on a Saturday morning at 9 o'clock in the morning. It's really early for a lot of people. It's early for me too. But yes, that is why. Thank you so much. Um, yes, so today we will be doing supplementary revision for CBSE Term 2 English exam. We'll be focusing on the revision of your supplementary reader. And yes, so there are 3 chapters that are included in it. Yes, 3 chapters, beautiful chapters actually. Should Wizard Hit Mommy? And then there is On the Face of It, and then Even Tries and O Level. So all 3 of them are important chapters, and all 3 of them are interesting stories as well. I hope you've liked them as much as I have. Yes, so let's begin our revision for this supplementary part of your English subjects. So if you watch these videos, if you do your revision watching these videos, I'm sure they're going to help you with your last minute tips and tricks and strategies that will help you to score better. Okay, so let's start with that on that note. So generally speaking, this is the marking scheme for this year. I'm not sure what's going to happen next year, but we're talking about the exam that is going to take place now for class 12th. So your total exam is for 40 marks, and out of the 40 marks, 18 marks are for your literature exam. Now, literature portion. Now, out of this, the main portion, the main marks are from Flamingo, which is your main textbook. That is for 11 marks. And the rest of it is Vistas, which is 7 marks, and that is your supplementary reader. So we are going to focus a little bit of on the main textbook as well, but mostly on the supplementary reader, that is Vistas today. Okay, so yes, let's begin. Now, what are the important aspects that need to be covered in in the 3 lessons of your supplementary reader? So the first one, let's pick up Should Wizard Hit Mommy? Now, of course, we are not going into the details of the lesson, but if you have a look at the chapter, the 2 or 3 most important things, the most important aspects of the chapter on which you can be asked questions. The first is the different perspectives of the ending of the story. So some children believe, even while I was teaching, and I've taught this chapter about 2-3 times, since the beginning of this year, and I've had a mixed reaction from my entire class as to whether Roger's mother was, the Roger Skunk's mother was correct, or whether Joe's perspective of the ending was correct. So whether the Roger Skunk should have gone back to smelling like roses, or he should have stayed with the smell of roses like the wizard had helped him with. So these are 2 entirely different perspectives, because Jo is a small girl. She's shown to be a girl of about 8 to 10 years, whereas of course Roger Skunk's mother is much older, right? So obviously the perspectives are completely different, and of course Roger Skunk's mother's perspective helps Roger in the longer run. It helps him to maintain the identity of being a skunk, first and foremost, and second, eventually he does manage to make friends, right? At the end of the chapter, if you remember, then at the end of the chapter, Roger Skunk himself agrees to the fact that yes, he was able to make friends also. But according to Joe, the perspective was completely different. Joe believed that because at that point of time, Roger Skunk could not make friends and nobody would accept him in school because of the horrible smell of the skunk, he should have remained with the smell of the roses that the wizard had helped him with. And instead of, the wizard being hit, the wizard should have hit Roger's mother back. Now, of course, they leave out the hitting part, but actually, from a perspective of an 8 or 10-year-old, Job was also correct. Now, you can be asked questions on these perspectives. You can be asked the difference of these perspectives. You can be asked which perspective do you agree with, whether you agree with Joe's perspective or whether you agree with Roger Skunk's perspective. That is absolutely up to you. But what I'm trying to tell you here is that you can be asked questions on the difference of the perspective, or which perspective you agree with, or you can also get questions as to how far do you agree with. Sometimes we don't have a yes or a no answer. We don't have black and white answers like that. But sometimes we agree more with one perspective and the less perspective is not so agreeable, but there are certain aspects that you agree with. So whatever your perspective may be, you should be able to express that properly. That is most important. So here I'm not going to tell you my perspective. I'm just going to tell you, as an English language teacher, as a person who's read this chapter again and again, taught this chapter again and again, I would just like to tell you that both the perspectives, as far as the age group was concerned, were correct. So Joe's perspective from an 8 to 10-year-old point of view, Joe's perspective was absolutely correct. And from the perspective of Roger Skunk's mother, wherein she believed that Roger Skunk should stay with his identity of being a skunk, he should remain with that perspective, or he should, eventually he was also able to make friends. Both the perspectives are correct. Now it is up to you what you want to choose, but you should be able to write about your choices and you should be able to give reasons for your choice. So I'm going to mention this here, which is extremely important point. One second. So write about your choice, giving reasons about your choice of answer, whatever it may be, but give reasons. Give reasons. This is extremely important. If you don't give valid reasons, then you are not going to get marks. Okay. And one more thing, this is my experience in the class. A lot of times students get very emotional about writing answers, which is great. While we are reading the lesson and while we are discussing the lesson, it's great. But when we are writing answers, please make sure that whatever your choice may be, like I've mentioned here, the reasons should be valid and you must be able to express it. You can't just say, oh, Roger Skunk's mother was right. Why was she right? Or you can't say that, oh, Joe's perspective was right. But why was it right? So when you're writing an answer, let's be objective about it. Let's be very practical about it. That when you're writing this answer, you have to be sure about one thing, that is, your reasons should be valid. One. Second, you must be able to express those reasons properly. That is extremely important. If you're not able to express your reasons, meaning if you're not able to write your reasons correctly, there's no point, because you will not get any marks. And here our objective is not discussion. Our objective is not to prove Joe right or Roger Skunk's mother wrong, or Roger Skunk's mother right and Joe wrong. Our objective right now is to be able to get marks, maximum marks. And how is that possible? When you're able to express yourself, when you're able to write your answers properly. Okay, so this is the most important aspect of this lesson. The second important aspect of this lesson is Joe's father. Now, when we read the lesson, there are various aspects of his personality that we come across. For example, when he's talking about, Roger Skunk and not being able to, when Roger Skunk was not being able to make friends, he goes back to his childhood, when he was not able to make friends because he used to stammer. So somewhere while he's in the present and he's enjoying the company of his children, narrating them a story which he himself has imagined, while he's enjoying all of that, he is also, going back to his past. And so somewhere it means that he has not got closure. He has not, he's not fully recovered from the hassles of his past, right? The problems that he faced as a child. So that is one aspect that we come across. Then we also come across a point where his wife is pregnant and she's, painting some furniture in the drawing room, and he's there in the children's room, while he's narrating the story, he's thinking about his past, and he's also looking at his wife who's doing some work which is much needed in the house. he wants to go and help her, but since he's doing something else, he's not being able to do so. So there is this, he's being pulled in every direction as a personality. Joe's father is being pulled in all the directions. He's being pulled towards his past because of whatever has happened in it and whatever he has gone through in his childhood. He's sitting with his children and he's trying to answer all the questions that his daughter is putting up. And of course, daughter is also growing up, so she has her own perspective. He's dealing with that also, and somewhere he gets irritated with the so many questions also. So that is also an aspect of his personality, that the patriarchal aspect of his personality comes across. In that patriarchal personality, what is that aspect? The aspect is that when his daughter is asking him questions, he's getting irritated. He does not want to answer them. He does not have the patience to answer them. And then there is this irritation because he just doesn't want that his daughter should should ask so many questions, because he just wants that she should just listen to the story and do nothing else. So that is also a patriarchal, because that's also a patriarchal aspect, because if you go back to the story and you read somewhere, it's written that because she was asking so many questions, he hastened the process of that storytelling. Hastened the process of storytelling means that he wanted to be quick about it. He wanted to get over with the story as soon as possible. So that is about, so one aspect is of course being pulled in different directions as far as past, present and future is concerned. And then of course this aspect where he's getting irritated with his daughter on why she's asking so many questions, and he hastens the process of storytelling. So these two aspects are the most important aspects from Should Wizard Hit Mommy. And these two aspects are the aspects from which you can be asked questions. Now, one thing, the probability of being asked questions from these aspects is the most important, but that does not mean that you cannot be asked questions on the other aspects as well. Okay, so please remember that. And then let's come to the next lesson, which is on the face of it. Again, another beautiful chapter. And what are the most important aspects of this chapter? First of all, the personality of Derek and Mr. Lamb both. That is very important. So how Derek was stubborn in the beginning, and then how he transitions into a very confident, righteous boy. That whole transformation of his personality from how he was in the beginning of the lesson, how he was angry, he was stubborn, he had this perspective about the world, and how that perspective was formed because of the experiences that he'd had. How he used to feel bad when people used to comment on his on his face, and then how he was very because of his mother also, how he was, she used to only touch that part of his face which was not burnt, right? So you're going to write, you can be asked questions on this aspect of Derek's personality. Then of course Mr. Lamb, how he's a very calm, serene personality, a very joyful personality. He believes in being in the moment. Yes, the word is being in the moment. He loves to remain in the present. Be in the moment. He loves to remain in nature. Yes. How he is joyful. This is Mr. Lamb. How he is, he has an appreciative outlook towards life. Outlook towards life. You can also call him optimistic. Yeah. Okay. So these are the aspects of Mr. Lamb's personality on which you can be asked questions. You can be asked a short answer question can be on the fact, so where he mentions that if there is something that is made by God, he appreciates it. Whether it's good, whether he doesn't focus on the fact that whether it's right or wrong, but because it is made by God, he appreciates it. And then there is this particular example that he gives of, a garden which is full of flowers but also has weeds. A weed that has the unwanted grass that has to be removed. And, because of that, So he says, and both flowers and weeds are important, you know. So he says that one must be appreciative of the flowers and then one must be appreciative of the weed as well, which is why he goes on to say that if there is something made by God, he appreciates it. He does not call it right or wrong. All right. Okay. Then the next aspect, which is very important, and I think in the sample papers that CBSE provided in January this year, January of, I think, yeah, it was January, CBSE had provided some sample papers. Um, there is this question about the role of Derek's mother in his life, how it shaped up Derek's personality. Now, see, parents play a very important role in our personality, right? And the way they treat us is the way we look at the world, which is um, which is very important. Now, please, I'm going to write this down so that you can use this line. The way parents treat their children is the way they perceive the world. Yeah, the way the parents children treat the way parents treat their children is the way children perceive the world. Now, what does that mean? If you are treated affectionately by your parents, this is how you will see the world, right? If you're ignored by the parent, then that's how you will treat the world. You will feel that the world is also ignoring you. Now, in Derek's case, that was the problem. In Derek's case, he always had this thing in his heart that his mother hadn't accepted him the way he was, right? Because she used to only touch, she used to affectionately touch only that part of his face which was not burnt. She would not do that on the other part of the face which was burnt. She would only affectionately touch that part of the face which was not burnt. So somewhere his mother hadn't accepted him the way he was, and which is why he held a lot of grudges. Unknowingly he held a lot of grudges. And then, of course, let's face it, the world was also not treating him right. There are instances where he mentions that in the bus people were commenting about him. So Derek's mother has a very important role to play in his life, and yes, you can be asked questions on this as well. In the sample test papers that CBSE provided this January of this year, there was a question from should wizard hit mommy, and then there was also a question from on the face of it, right? Okay. So on the face of it, I've told you which question was there in the CBSE sample paper. This one, should wizard hit mommy? Of course, the question was on this perspectives part only. And then the third one is even tries an O level. I think no. I mean, I won't say I think. Even whatever books that I've seen, to understand which is the most important aspect of this lesson, and of course the previous year's question papers and whatever has been asked till now, the fact that comes across in that lesson is the fact that the difference that crime and punishment will always exist, and what together there cannot be a society which is free of crime. Okay. The second thing is that the only difference between crime and punishment is wits. Now, what is wits? So we saw even over there, right? Very, very intelligent guy. But what was he using his intelligence for? He was using his intelligence to actually commit crimes. He was not a murderer, so he was not like a serious criminal. But he was still, using his intelligence to commit these crimes where he would run away from the jail. So what was he doing? He used to get joy out of making the police run after him, or proving that he was more intelligent than the police, than the law. One second, I'll write this down. Even got a lot of joy by proving that he was more intelligent than the police and the law. Okay. So that is how he was using his intelligence. That is how he was using his head. He was using his mind. So this becomes an important aspect of the lesson on which you can be asked questions. Okay. And then of course the sequence, whatever happens, what happens with the examiner, McLeary, who's actually a friend of who's a friend of Even. So you know how that goes unchecked. All those aspects of this lesson are important, but this remains the most important aspect. Okay. All right. So with this, we have discussed the important aspects of these lessons. Of course, we are going to cover some aspects of. We are also going to cover the important questions of these lessons. Yes, let's go ahead. Yes, I would also be discussing some questions from the Rattrap that I missed out on in the previous session. So a few questions from Rattrap, and then we will begin with the questions on the supplementary reader. Okay. Now let's see these. So these are a few questions on the Rattrap that are important. One of them is the different aspects of these people. So of course, personalities, or you can call it character sketch, personality, character sketch of the peddler. Then there was Edla, and then there was the crofter. Very important. Okay, these are, so you can be asked questions on this. Then also there are two aspects. There are two aspects from which I think you have been asked questions every year. If you may choose to or not choose to do it, that's a separate story. But you have been asked questions on these two perspectives almost every year. One is that, you know, Edla and Crofter were both lonely people, right? Crofter wanted company for dinners. He wanted people to visit him because he was a very lonely man. Edla, if you read the story somewhere, she doesn't want that she celebrates another Christmas with no guest in the house. So she's also very lonely. She's also very lonely. But they are used. But how selfish are they? Crofter he becomes a selfish man because of his loneliness, whereas Edla remains the beautiful, kind-hearted person that she is. And that is, if you read the whole story, you will understand this, because Crofter, you know, because he has become selfish, he uses money to attract his company, attract the peddler's company. So when he visited him for the first time, he shows him how much money he has, hoping that because of this money, the peddler would keep coming to his house every evening, right? He does that. But what does peddler do? Because peddler, at the end of the day, has a heart of a peddler. He is greedy, and then what does he do? The next day, he actually steals that money and he runs away. What does Edla do? Edla understands. She doesn't know that he's a peddler. When he's in the iron mill of her father, she understands that he's not her father's friend, right? She understands that, but she doesn't know that he's a peddler, right? But she's also lonely, but she wants, you know, to help him. She wants him to feel comfortable, to feel joyful on Christmas, to feel you know, how is it to have the company of friends all around you on a very special festival in that part of the world. So she treats him with a lot of respect. She treats him with a lot of comfort, with a lot of appreciation. And because of this, peddler has a change of heart towards the end of the story. So again, what he does at the end of the story is also very important. But Edla so this aspect where Edla and Crofter are both lonely, but how they become selfish and what they do after, first aspect that is very important in this lesson. Second aspect that is very important in this lesson is, of course, the end of the story, that how, you know, he could not become, this peddler could not become a colonel in real life, but with his behavior, yes, he was able to rise up as a colonel. So how he leaves that money in a rat trap itself, as a gift to, a gift for Edla and her father. And the third aspect that is important is, of course, that line that the whole world is a rat trap, and the explanation of that one line. And the last aspect that is important is the question that I've written here. The peddler comes out as a person with subtle sense of humor. How does this serve in lightening the seriousness of the theme of the story and also endearing him to us? See, so this question may sound a little difficult, but I'll make it easy for you. I'll break it down for you. Let's read the second part of the question first. The second part of the question, one second. Let me choose yellow color. Yes. Okay. Now see, lightening the seriousness of the theme. So lightening the seriousness of the theme of the story means that this is actually a serious story, but because of the peddler's sense of humor, it's become a little, you don't feel the seriousness of the story. You don't feel so heavy after reading the story, right? And it was also endearing him to us, meaning that although he's a thief, although he commits a crime at the beginning of the story, somewhere in the middle of the story he also tells a lie, because he does not tell about his actual he does not talk about his actual identity of being a peddler. He just says that he just doesn't say that he's a peddler. So that can be a lie. It can be half truth or a full lie, however you want to see it. But still, towards the end of the story, we feel very proud of the peddler. We feel that, he's a very loving character. We feel very sympathetic towards him, right? How does this happen? It happens because the peddler has a great sense, not a great, but a subtle sense of humor, which is very light. So how the story starts with him calling the world as a rat trap. That is number one. Towards the end of the story, how he, in the middle of the story, when Edla and her father, they recognize that he's not a friend of theirs, he says that, he didn't wish to come here. He just wanted a place to sleep. So he'll go back to his rags, wearing his rags, and he'll go back home, right? So that part of the story. And then, of course, the last part of the story where he leaves all the money behind that he had, the money that he had stolen, he leaves all that money behind. And the note where he writes that he could not become a colonel in real life, he could not join the army, but in his behavior, he promised Edla that he would be a colonel for the rest of his life. So these three instances serve as, lightening the seriousness of the theme of the story, as well as making this character more likable. So, can you all, I hope you're all able to see what I have written. I'm going to increase the size a bit. Yes. So, towards the end of the story, peddler becomes a likable character. Okay, so this aspect is important. I'm going to write this down again so that this is visible to all of you. Personality. So when you watch this video, you can obviously, when you watch this video, you can take a screenshot of this personality or character sketch of Edla, peddler. Oh God, I make so many typing mistakes. Edla, peddler, and the crofter. Okay. So I hope that this much is clear. Now let's go to the important questions of what we discussed, the supplementary reader. Now in the supplementary reader, like I had said, the first one is this question here. I'm interested in anybody, anything. There is nothing that God made that doesn't interest me. Explain in reference to Mr. Lamb's character. Now, please understand that Mr. Lamb had already gone through a lot of problem in his life, right? He was a war veteran. He used to serve in the army, and in the war, he had lost one of his legs, right? He had an artificial limb in one of his legs. So, obviously, he had gone through a lot of physical, mental trauma in life, right? And because of this physical, mental trauma, he had started to appreciate he had started appreciating everything around him, right? So where he gives the example of the garden which has both flowers and weeds, uh, flowers and weed. He gives that example where he says that if you appreciate the beauty of flowers, you also have to appreciate the weeds with it, because they both have some work to do in that garden, right? And because they are made by God, he appreciates them. So he has come to a point in his life, because of all the struggles that he has seen, he has come to a point in his life where he has come to appreciate every person or everything around him. There is nothing that he doesn't appreciate, whether it's a living person or it's a non-living thing, that doesn't matter, right? And why is that happened? Because you know what happens is, when we struggle a lot in life, either we become joyful. I'll write this down so that you can also write it in your lesson, in your answers, sorry. When we face a lot of struggle in life, we either become joyful or we become cynical. What is the meaning of the word cynical? Cynical means when we cynical means when we are very negative about everything in life. We are always angry, we are always disgusted. That is cynical. Okay? So, and what happened with Mr. Lamb? He became more joyful. So, if you see at the beginning of the lesson, Mr. Lamb's character is joyful, whereas with all the struggles, Derek has become a very cynical person, right? And towards the end of the lesson, we notice that there is a change, there is a transformation in Derek's personality from becoming cynical to taking a stand for himself and making that choice that he wants to lead a more joyful life. Okay? Because we haven't seen him joyful. When he's joyful and he's taken that decision for himself to go back to Mr. Lamb, he does not even listen to his mother. He goes back to Mr. Lamb's house. He realizes that Mr. Lamb is dead and he's no more. Right? So we haven't seen that part of the story where Derek has become more joyful, but yes, we do see a transformation in him where he's a more confident personality. He has decided to stand up for himself, and he has made that choice of he has made that choice of wanting to be joyful in life. Okay, then the next question of course comes from even tries an O level, which is, do you agree that between crime and punishment it is mainly a battle of wits? So that I have already explained. So person who's doing a crime and the person who's following the law are both intelligent people. Let's face it, the person who does the crime, I'll write this down here, the person who commits crime, and who is a law-abiding citizen are both intelligent. Yeah. So now here, when they are both intelligent, then what is it that is different? When they are both intelligent, it means that they're just using their intelligence in different ways. One is using his intelligence for his or her intelligence to become more for positive things, and the other one is using them for negative things. So what is the difference? It's mainly a battle of wits. If you see the story where you talk about the who was it, the governor of the jail, the main person in the jail, and I'm forgetting the name of the character, and even himself, they were both very intelligent people, but then it was a battle of wits, and even won in it. Okay. Then the sixth question is, with reference to the events in the story, should wizard hit mommy? Who would you support and why? So again, this is a matter of perspectives that we discussed at the beginning of this video. I'm going to write this here. Yeah. One second. Perspective of two perspectives of the story I'm going to write here. So practically, if you see the previous year's questions on should wizard hit mommy, this is the most asked question. So that, see, again, I'm repeating this again and again. I have repeated this in all my videos, that if any faculty member, any coaching institute, school, wherever you may be, if that teacher or any teacher tells you that these are the important aspects of a particular exam, that means that yes, it is important and they need to be done, but that does not mean that the other aspects need not be done. And then you can't come and blame the teacher that अरे टीचर ने बोला था तो हमने सिर्फ यही किया, उन्होंने बोला था important था तो सिर्फ हमने वही किया. If we are telling you that there is something that is important, that means that this has to be done. It's a necessity. But it does not mean that you have to ignore the others. You have to do the other aspects of your lesson as well. You have to know the details of the lesson as well. But when any faculty member, be it in Safalta or be it anywhere else or even in your school, tells you that this particular thing is important, that means that particular aspect needs to be given more attention. The others need not be given less attention, but the important aspects need to be given more attention. Okay? Alright. So this question here, who would you support and why, is from Should Wizard Hit Mommy, and what it is asking you is whether you would support Joe's perspective of the story, or would you support Roger Skunk's mother's perspective of the story. Which one would you support? And like I told you, that there's no point in getting emotional, but whichever choice you make, you must be able to express it correctly in your exam. Only then will you get marks, and right now our only focus is to get marks. Okay? Then the next one says, how does Joe want the story to end and why? What light does it throw on Joe's character in the lesson Should Wizard Hit Mommy? Now see, it is asking you about Joe's character, so that is why the understanding the personalities of your characters in the story, understanding the character sketch of these people becomes very important. So how does Joe want the story to end? She wanted that Roger Skunk should remain with the smell of roses, and he should not have gotten back to how his mother wanted him to be, and that is to smell like a skunk. So she wanted that he should remain with the smell of roses. Why does she want that? She wants that, because she wants Roger to have more friends. That is one thing. So I'm just going to quickly write down the answers here. Joe wants Roger to have friends, right? Which means that shows that she's a very sociable and friendly person by nature. She herself is friendly and she's sociable. Sociable is a person who loves to meet people. So she herself is a person who's sociable and friendly, which is why she doesn't want to live, she understands how Roger would feel if he had no friends. So she was sociable, she was friendly, she was sympathetic. What does that mean? This means that she understood how Roger was feeling without friends. So when you understand somebody else's problem, that is called being sympathetic. One second. Yeah, I hope you can't see that white mark now. Yes. So Joe wants Roger to have friends. That means she's friendly and sociable herself. She's sympathetic. Why? Because she understands. See, Roger Skunk is an imaginary character. He's not an actual person in real life. He's an imaginary character. And this girl could understand the problem of this imaginary character. So if she could do that, that means that she's very sympathetic. So the moment you understand somebody else's problem, that's called that's called sympathy. So you're sympathetic towards the person. Okay? So she's sympathetic. She's also very independent. So what does that mean? She's independent because she has her own way of thinking. So if you remember throughout when her father is narrating that story to her, she's asking a lot of questions. Even though her father is getting irritated, she's asking questions. So she's independent and she's confident. So she's confident because despite the father getting irritated, she's still asking questions. She's independent because she believes that she's independent. She's independent because if she believes in something, she decides to stand by it, right? So she's not scared that what are the others going to think. She's not worried about what her father is going to think or what are the other people going to think. So she's very independent. She's confident because she chooses to ask questions rather than stay quiet about it. And she's also emotional because towards the end, so in the end, when Roger Roger Skunk is spelling like roses, she feels that, oh, the story is over. But then when she realizes that no, the story hasn't ended and Roger Skunk's mother did whatever she had to, she becomes very emotional. And in that emotional phase, she's also very angry that how dare did how dare did Roger Skunk's mother actually hit the wizard, and then the wizard should have actually hit mommy back, and Roger Skunk should not have gone back to the smell. Roger Skunk should not have gone back to smelling like a skunk. Okay, so these are the different qualities of Joe, which we understand because of the these are the different qualities of Joe that we understand because of the kind of ending she wants in the story. Okay, so I hope these are clear. I'll just repeat them once more. She wants Roger to have friends. That means that she's sociable and friendly. She likes to meet new people. She likes to make friends. So she's sociable and friendly. She's very sympathetic. She's sympathetic because she understands what Roger Skunk must be going through without friends, right? And that is the reason why she wants him to have friends in the first place. So she's very sympathetic. She's a confident girl because despite her fact that her father is getting agitated and irritated at her asking questions, she still continues to ask these questions. She's very independent in her thinking. She's not bothered that what is a father, what are her father's views about it. But if she thinks that something is right, she decides to stand by it. So that is independence. And the fifth aspect is that she's very emotional. So she gets very emotional and she gets very angry when she comes to know about what Roger Skunk's mother had done. And she was very angry when, her father narrates to her that Roger Skunk's mother actually hits the wizard. So she believes that the wizard should hit mommy back and help Roger Skunk to go back to smelling like roses again. So she's emotional and she also becomes angry in the story. Okay, all right, and then yes, this is another long answer question that can be asked. Mr. Lamb calls Derek his friend while Derek refuses his affirmation. Would you consider their relationship with each other as friendship? And you have to support your answer with reference to the instances from the text. Now, was it friendship or was it mentor and disciple? So, this is something that you must ask yourself depending on what is given in the story. So, was it friendship or was it a mentor This is something that you have to decide for. So yes, Mr. Lamb keeps calling him his friend and Derek keeps refusing. Why? Because Derek has that negative aspect towards life and he's taught by his his experiences, by his mother, that people only sympathize with him and nobody wants to become friends with him. So he's always thinking that people are sympathizing with him, but they do not want to become his friend. So that is why he keeps refusing this affirmation that Mr. Lamb keeps calling Derek his friend. Now, what is your choice? Would you consider their relationship with each other as friendship or support your answer with reference to the instances from the text? So here it was about friendship. Yes. Now, why was it about friendship? One second. Let me have just a sip of water. Yes. So why was it friendship and why was it not why was it friendship and why was it not mentor disciple relationship? Is because he treated him as an equal. Mr. Lamb always treated Derek as an individual. He treated him as his equal. He was not there to teach him some sort of lessons, but he was merely sharing his experiences in life. See, so Mr. Lamb treated Derek as an equal. Yes, as a grown individual. Yes, he treated him like an equal. He treated him like as a grown individual, and because of this is why it is a story of friendship, because another reason is that he shares his experiences and his learnings, his lessons with him. He doesn't teach him the lessons. Oops, what have I done? He doesn't teach him the lessons. Okay? He doesn't teach him the lessons. So he is merely sharing his experiences, and what kind of lessons does Derek learn? That he leaves up to him. There is nothing like him saying that, okay, you must learn this lesson. See, let's change this word to a teacher and a student relationship. I think that will be better. Instead of calling it a mentor-disciple relationship, teacher and student. Yeah. He's not saying that you must learn these lessons, because these are my learning, so you must learn these lessons. He merely shares these experiences, his lessons with him, and then he leaves it up to Derek as to what he wants to perceive out of it. So when, what happens in a classroom, you come to the class and you listen to the teacher, and you most of the times you do what the teacher is telling you to do. But when you are friends with somebody, the friends will share everything with you, but they will not force you to learn a particular lesson. That is the most beautiful aspect about a relationship, about this relationship of friendship, that they listen to you whenever you want, whenever you are upset, whenever you are sad. They listen to you. They always, you can share your problems with them. They share their experiences with you. They share their lessons with you. But at the same time, they do not force you to learn the same lessons. They leave it up to you as to how you are going to, learn whatever you have to in your life, and whatever time it may take. They are not in a hurry, right? Whereas what happens with the teacher, you come to the class, you are worried about, the teacher is also worried about the syllabus, you are worried about your tests, and that's how it goes. The teacher will come teach and you will go. But what happens here is that because he treats him as an equal, because he treats him as an individual, wherever he's sharing these experiences and learnings, he's not expecting that Derek would learn those lessons immediately, or he would learn the same lessons as Derek. So Mr. Lamb, one second. Yeah. Yes. Mr. Lamb doesn't expect, the word here is expect. He doesn't expect Derek to learn the same lessons and learn them immediately as well. So this is the beauty of friendship. Yes. So with respect to whatever we read in the chapter, we understood in the chapter, it is a relationship of friendship. That is what Mr. Lamb calls it. It is not a teacher-student relationship. And unfortunately in the story, of course, Mr. Lamb dies so Derek learns his lessons, and by the time he becomes confident, ready to lead his life the way Mr. Lamb would have wanted to, and how they could have both shared this beautiful life together as friends, Mr. Lamb dies. Because I think it is mentioned in the chapter that he likes to do all his work himself, and he's trying to climb up the ladder to pick the apples from the tree, and he is most likely had a fall because of which he's died. Yes. So before we could see how this beautiful friendship would have spanned out, it is shown that Mr. Lamb is dead, and that's how the chapter ends. So yes, with this we come to the end of today's video. I hope you have liked it. I hope you found it helpful. And in fact, all the series that we've come up with for class 12th, I hope you found them all useful. Best of luck for your exam. I hope and pray that all of you do extremely well in all your exams, including your English exam. Before you go, I would request all of you to please like this video and share it with your friends as much as you can, so that this video also helps them in their last minute preparation. And before you leave, please subscribe to Safalta School on the YouTube channel, so that you can, and also press the bell icon so that you get the notifications for whenever we are going live, or whenever we post something, you get the notifications, and then you can have a look at those videos there and then. All right, thank you so much, and all the best for your exams.